Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Luke Hutchie about Ezra premiering October 1st on OutTV. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked. Thank you.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's pretty interesting because, you wore a lot of hats on this project. You kind of did it all pretty much if you think about it. Is that kind of just one of those things where it just felt kind of natural, or were there still situations where it felt kind of overwhelming a little bit?
I mean, I definitely, this question's so funny, and I don't know, if you when talk to Chelsea, what her answer would be, but the show kind of came about in a very indirect way. Like, it was almost made as, like, there's other projects I was pitching and other things I wanted to kind of focus on, and for some reason, Ezra just kept coming back to the forefront, and I was like, why is everybody so obsessed with this gay vampire? And so I wasn't, the amount of hats was crazy, but I wasn't aware they were happening until I was in it, if that makes sense. Like, there was no, oh, I'm gonna star in a show and executive produce and show run it. I was like, oh, I'm now on set and everyone's asking me questions, and I guess this is what's happening now.
One of the things about Ezra that I think is going to hit the big stride with the audience is, the genre bending component of it. There's so much kind of thrown in this, and you know what? Genre bending is big right now. It's trendy. It's like hot. It's like what hot sauce was like 5-6 years ago. Remember when everyone was obsessed with hot sauce? Yeah. It's very in right now, right? Do you kind of set out to make a genre bending show?
No, it was so, the premise of the show was always, okay, Ezra, it's with queer content, it's so much about the coming out journey, and I'm like, okay, that's been done, we don't need to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to make something that was oh, he's a gay vampire who's scared to come out as a vampire. That's the joke, and he was kind of having to navigate being a homicidal maniac while also trying to live a normal life. And that was just the funny thing. There was the fact that all these other things were thrown into it was just, again, it was as it was happening, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But I think we did a great job. I think the show has spooky moments, but I think you will find it more funny than spooky.
And it's premiering the first day of spooky season, which is the best, October 1st. I've given you some pretty easy questions, so I gotta give you a hard one. It's not even that hard. Well, it's not hard. It's just there's a lot of vampire content out there right now. Yeah. There is. There's a lot of it. I mean, one can make an argument that, I don't know if you could say it's saturated, but there's a lot of stuff. People seem to love that stuff. Is that a little intimidating, though, to think about, knowing that there's kind of a lot, maybe not competition, but there's a lot of that stuff out there right now?
I don't, in my mind, the show is me and my kid. It's my so I'm not aware that other people know what it is yet. Or
Leave Ezra alone.
I'm just oh, people are gonna watch it. I don't know. I think that it's not a typical vampire show. I don't think it really focuses so much on the stereotype. I think we kind of, in our show, it's the vampires come from hell, so we kind of made them a bit more demonic.
Yep.
And I think that it's I feel like we're on our own thing. And I think having the queer driving force and a lot of diversity in the show, I think that also separates us entirely. But I don't like to think about that.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll just cry after this.
No, it's just, it's interesting to think about. But another thing too is that I feel like the comedy is going to stand out a lot because it's a funny show, but the horror's there, and knowing that horror is a big there's a big appetite for horror right now. It's pretty exciting, right? To know that you're releasing it October 1st, knowing that there is a big appetite for horror thriller. That's pretty fun to think about too, right?
I mean, I love the horror genre, and I love scary shit. It's my favorite. So I was just I'm stoked. I think people are gonna really like it, but I think the show is definitely, it keeps you on your toes for a lot of it, but Yeah, no, and like even with our cast, and like half of them have been like huge horror things or like sci-fi.
Stacked cast. That was my next question.
Cast.
You put together an unreal cast for this. Like, holy smokes. And I've interviewed like almost everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we listen, I'm telling you, I am the like we were so lucky with everybody. Like it was honestly like some of them I had known, like, you know, obviously I knew Chelsea,
Yeah.
Zoe de Grand Maison, who's on Orphan Black, Canadian veteran queen herself, Veronica Soikoska, and we were able, and Priyanka as well, and now everybody knows that that's a thing. So that was like a secret we had to keep for like 6 months after we filmed it. And you know, obviously then Matthew Finland Orphan, like it was just like an insane cast of people that
Cara Duncan, who's on
like there's so many people, and I just like I can't, like Danny and Daniela and like everybody, like even some of our guests, like it was just insane. And then I show up and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, why am I here?
Is that a misconception sometimes though? Because you know, it's a lot of actors that are from the Toronto area and a lot of actors from Canada, and there's a lot of collaborating and there's a lot of just kind of like chats, and it's like, hey, let's work on something together. Like, do you think people forget that that's kind of how a lot of these things kind of blossom a little bit?
I think it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like a lot of, I mean, in the industry, and like you work in entertainment, and I feel like a lot of people always talk about making things, and it's the talks, and then there's the execution, and you know, sometimes everybody kind of wants to do things, and even with Ezra, I didn't know this was that. Like, I thought this was like some silly thing. I didn't think it was ever gonna go. So when we got the green light, I just texted my friends. I was like, hey guys, are you down? And then like Matthew auditioned like for the, like I did not know him prior, and we also didn't know he was an orphan. So he gets the job. We're talking, and I was like, oh, like what have you done? He's like, oh, I'm in Orphan First Kill. I'm like, the orphan movie, the reboot. He was like, yeah, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I played like the brother. I was like, what? So it was crazy. Like,
spoiler alert, he also played the killer in Brazen with Melissa Milano. I don't know.
I know. I know.
Yeah. No, I mean
he's in Hell of a Summer and like a bunch of other huge projects coming out, and like he's crushing it. My cast is literally on crack. I feel like a proud mom. I'm like Kris Jenner.
What do you like the most about storytelling? What's the best thing about being a storyteller specifically?
I just really like the fact that like you can just make things up, and at some point it will just resonate with someone. Like that's the craziest thing from this whole experience, is like writing something and then seeing someone's reaction to it outside of it. Like I wrote blank scene, watching someone watch my actors perform that scene, it's insane. Like it's one of those things that's crazy. I just love being able to have control of stories. I don't know, I'm also just stupid, so like I just like
I remember the best thing, that was an actor came on my show, and he says he went to like one of his friends like kids' birthday parties. There's a bunch of kids there, and like one of the kids went up to him and was like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, I play pretend for a living.
Yeah.
And then the kid was like, cool. And it's like, that's literally what it is if you think about it.
That's what it is. That's like it's a weird like job. It's a very strange thing, but I don't know. Even writing was really fun for Isaac, because there's a scene in the show, and I won't say anything else, but there's a scene in the show where two characters are in a very high stress 911 situation. Mm-hmm. One character is bound to a chair, and one character is like about to like screw this person up. Mm-hmm. And the person who's under the chair is like crying, and it's like, who are you? Like blah, blah, blah. And the other person's like, who am I? Oh my God, that's such a loaded question these days. Well, my pronouns are he, him. I'm a Virgo. I think I'm straight. It's just like so stupid and funny, but the show's, yeah.
Did you ever have any moments where like you guys were writing the show, and it was like you would just like think of something you wanted to kind of throw in there, and you would like call someone? Like, did that happen like all the time? Because I feel like I'm starting to become like in the creative process as well, right? I was telling you, and like I feel like that happens all the time. Like I'll just think of something.
Oh yeah, we were the funniest, like that was the thing with the stupid show. Like me, Chelsea, Veronica, and our writer Max Litzkis, every Tuesday for 10 hours at Staples Studio, we were there, and we would like come up with the dumbest idea. I mean, like, okay, now how do we make this work? Or we'd be like, oh, we have a character. I'd be like, hey, would you come play this character if I give you like, it was the dumbest thing. Like, it was so funny. There's this stuffed broccoli character that Chelsea and Veronica made up, which is like, it's so dumb, but it was just like, oh my God. It was like, we literally just sat there and pulled shit out of our ass, and then we got a show, and I was like, great. I love that.
And what are you hoping they'll get out of it when they get to watch on OutTV on October 1st, like takeaway wise, when they watch Ezra? I mean, you hope they have a good time. I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah, like, I think if there's one thing for people to take away, and like, it sounds stupid, but like, there's more than like the stereotypes, and you're able to just be who you are, and there will be people that accept you, which sounds really cringy. But even like the whole thing of this show is like, there's all these queer people at the center front of it, but it's never mentioned or referenced. Like, you could swap Ezra out with like fucking Jennifer Aniston, and the show would still make sense. So it was just very, you know, it's 2022. Be whoever the fuck you want. Just don't hurt people. And that's what I hope on my TED Talk. That's what I hope people take away. But otherwise, I just hope they laugh.
Absolutely. Luke, it was so great chatting with you. Thanks for coming on Popternative.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me.
October 1st on OutTV, Ezra, and then episodes are going to come out like week after week, I believe.
Yeah, it's 2 episodes a week until Halloween.
Spooky season. I can't wait for spooky season. You have an Instagram account, right? People can keep update with. And there's a show. There's one for the show too, Ezra the series.
Yes. Ezra the series. And then
I'm doing all the plugs.
I love you. You're my favorite new publicist. This is so fun.
Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Luke Hutchie. You're going to see Ezra OutTV October 1st, and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.